Hi everyone, today I'm going to be reviewing the book Rosie, Revere, Engineer. It was written by Andrea Beatty. She was born and raised in South Illinois. She was very into novels and books about young, intelligent women when she was younger. So Nancy Drew in that series and a bunch of other authors who were who had women as their main character. She was a bio and computer science major in college, and she worked for a computer software company as a technician. So these two things definitely tie into the book and how it values and encourages STEM for all students. She taught herself to be a self editor, and she said that this is because her tech writing led to great training as an author because she had to be very explicit and detail oriented and give specific examples. Then she knew that she had to do that when she became a children's author. So the context of the book, it's about Rosie Revere, which we're meant to believe is Rosie the Riveter's great great niece. She's in elementary school, but it happens in and out of school. She values and accepts fear and failure. I really liked that because I know I've struggled with that a lot, and I think it's great that it totally changed your mindset on these two things, these two feelings. And I really also like how much it talked about reusing and recycling and its emphasis on our impact on the world. So this some of the values and morals I wanted to talk about before I kept going because they're definitely one of my favorite parts of the book. So I'm going to be referring to them a lot. Um, so the author really values failure and changes our mindset to the feeling of failure as not something to fear, but something to love and accept, which leads it to personal growth, changing and being able and vulnerable to change and willing to accept it and willing to try. Um, Women following their dreams and an homage to World War II's image of Rosie the Riveter. So kind of reminding women that we have proven ourselves more than we already should have, and kind of remembering and touching base with that notion of how women were able to take over all of the jobs, almost all of the jobs that men had while the war was happening because they were all deployed, and just knowing and showing our students that they can dream to be whatever they want. It has a really big emphasis on STEM. It talks about science and engineering and math and how that's kind of normally we see it as a men dominated field, but it can be for everyone. I personally know one of my favorite instructors is a science teacher who I never had, but I know her as a person and I would love to have that as my science teacher. So other cute things it talked about a lot was recycling, as I mentioned earlier, and it talks about spray cheese as something to something to be excited about. Like this little girl uses spray cheese in a lot of her inventions and creations, and most girls are it's going to be like pink and glittery and well maybe not most girls but a lot of girls, and that is the way society depicts young women and showing them that like it's okay to like spray cheese even though it's probably one of the most disgusting things for you, but hey, if you like it, do what makes you happy. So the thesis I came up with for this book is how is Rosie going to be able to overcome her fear of embarrassment and now failure to add to it so she is able to live her best authentic life. So she's given all these problems that she needs to fix or overcome or deal with, and she has to make this life-changing decision basically of, do I want to try something new and risk failing it and being so embarrassed all over again, or do I want to try and do something great for myself and for the world and be able to be happy in public. In the beginning of the story, Rosie fails to create the perfect thing for her uncle, and he laughed at her even though he said he loved it. He laughed and she felt embarrassed by that. So does she want to be her best self, and is she willing to get laughed at to try again and over, or is she just gonna stop with that? So the summary of the book is Rosie loves to turn trash into treasure and create new inventions for herself and family. However, after creating a new invention for a favorite uncle, she was embarrassed after his response to her gift. Rosie has a new aunt in town who encourages her to get right back on the horse she fell off. Will Rosie's dreams come true, or will she feel compelled to keep her inventions a secret to herself? So my analysis of the book was that it had excellent morals and values. Not that these things aren't already apparent, but I think with the whole feminist movement and STEM immersion and equality and equity, um, I just really appreciated all of that and how it was like a good refresher book, but it was also written so cute. Um, Very nice grammar. The illustrations were great. So it also has I think it's very excellent for changing the mindsets of our youth, as I previously mentioned, and that is engineering isn't just for boys or isn't just for boys to be interested in or for men, and anybody can do it. If a woman feels that she wants to be an engineer, great. And that is so powerful, especially to a second grader. So some of the strengths and weaknesses, I didn't really think this book had any weaknesses. I'm sure that somebody may have some other viewpoints, but um, I really liked how she gets the message across in a fun, lighthearted, and realistic way. Her story is adorable. It's about a young girl achieving her goals and being happy and being able to show the world that she can actually do it with the help of her aunt, Rosie the Riveter. I liked how they used graph paper to demonstrate immersion in STEM, and also I'm going to talk about this one, illustrations representative of characters. So if we look at the book, this is how it starts. Um, a lot of it, as you can see, has some graph paper in it. So what you can do with this, like with an artistic student, is give them an expanded sheet of graph paper and have them recreate some of the airplane. So that can touch into a specific intelligence. And it can also show how people can be interested in a lot of things. We see Rosie as a sweet young girl, happy, excited, and Rosie the Riveter as like matronly, loving, really happy, really excited, full busted, and we tend to think of that as motherly. And then this up here, she's strong, she's working by herself. She has her own lunchbox. She's capable of doing everything she can by herself. When we see her uncle, he is behind bars. He's kind of standoffish, pointing, not even looking at her. So that makes us feel not really afraid of him, but definitely on her side over his. Her family, they're welcoming yet a little nervous. I can, you can just, I don't know. When I look at these women, I'm just like, oh, I'm not alarmed as much as I would say not excited about, I think. Um, so yeah. So Rosie, her teacher is very proper, sitting upright. Her hair is up in a nice bun, but her body figure is also very sharp. All the students are happy, friendly. There's a representative of most cultures, I would think to believe, in all of the different students. So again, we see Rosie and her aunt. And the birds hugging, just love. It has an AABB rhyme scheme, so when reading it, we can go back to the beginning. This is the story of Rosie Revere, who dreamed of becoming a great engineer. You can see how it goes up, up, down, down, up, down, down. Oops. And that is my analysis of the book Rosie Revere, Engineer. If this interested you, I would definitely recommend reading it, even having it in your own library. I think it is a very great, powerful, historical, mathematical, artistic, cultural, everything. How in the United States, women were really valued during that time. And that's a great thing for women to learn about and to remember that we've been fighting for equality for a really long time. And to show that a child who hasn't really been exposed to that much inequality in her life because of how young she is, if she's able to overcome that, why can't the rest of us? Why can't the rest of the world overcome that?